I am Chandrasekhar Pahimam with Highwayman Part 2.
Hello, Mavericks. I'm again in front of you to break the suspense that you all contain, to present you with The Highwayman Part 2, a ballad by Alfred NOYES, a wonderful story. Set in the 18th century England, in the reign of King George, this poem was published in August 1906 in Blackwood's magazine, and this poem made the poet very famous all around in England. Well, it is a Gothic narrative. Gothic narratives are those which deal with the themes of love, supernatural, sorrow, loss, terror, mystery, melodrama, dark and stormy light settings, and it uses a variety of figures of speech, making it a very attractive thing to read. Like it contains similes, metaphors, enjambment, alliteration, repetition, imagery, onomatopoeia, and a variety more. Before I continue with the story of Highwayman 2, I would like to start up the story of Highwayman 1, so to give a good continuation to it. It's a story of a highwayman, a robber, who is shown to be a very fashionable robber. So he comes to that inn every day riding on his horse, and is shown to be a very attractive and a charming personality. There in the inn, he comes and makes a variety of noises in order to identify his arrival. And who is sitting there? There, Bess is inside plaiting a red love knot in her hair so as to showcase that she is also in love with him and she is ready for his arrival. The moment she identifies that the highwayman has come, she is very excited and she comes on the window. Now, there is an introduction of the third character, who is shown to be a very ugly creature having moldy hair and eyes like mad. He was mad in love with Bess, and he was mad on the highwayman as well. He was very angry with him because he did not like him at all. So when the highwayman comes, he wants to hear them talking, and the highwayman says to her that now I am going for a big loot, but I'll be back by tomorrow, and do wait for me because nothing can stop me from coming back. And he demands for a kiss as well. Well, they strive to get each other's touch, but it was scarce. And the falling down of the hair on the chest of the highwayman creates a very beautiful scene that makes the reader very excited as well. Finally, he tugs the rein of the horse and gallops away to the west, and there ends the part 1 of Highwayman. Now let us see what goes forward. The Highwayman Part 2 initiates. It initiates with the same promise that the robber made to his lover, Bess. He promised her that he would come by the next morning. If not in the morning, definitely he would come by the evening or by the night. However, the speaker starts the poem by letting us know that he did not fulfill his promise. Maybe the villains tried to harass him. So he did not come in the morning. The morning turned into evening and then night, but he still did not come. The speaker takes it back. He takes us back to the same landscape, the same purple moor, and this time he has compared the road with a gypsy's ribbon. A ribbon which is shining in the moonlit night. There is a nasty surprise suddenly. The readers would be expecting the highwayman. However, instead of the highwayman came the red coat troop. Here the speaker wants us to know that the time belongs to King George, and he has sent a group of kingsmen to trap the highwayman. So they came, and they came marching. The poet has used a variety of figures of speech. So we'll mention it along with the description. Here in the first line we find he did not come in the dawning. Here in the first line we find alliteration, which is the repetition of the same consonant sound in the beginning of the words. So did and dawning starts with the same sound, so that's an alliteration. Then when he wants us to look back at the same landscape, he uses metaphor again. He compares a road to a gypsy's ribbon. And then there is repetition as well, as he wants us to know, as he wants to emphasize on marching. They came in a very official way, and they came to the old inn door. The second paragraph initiates by introducing these villains as the people on the side of law. But they are shown as a bunch of jerks, as they did not take the permission of the landlord. Rather, they intruded in his inn and they drank the beer. They tried rampaging the entire inn to find the daughter. Finally, they found Bess and they gagged her. Gagging is stuffing the mouth with something that makes you silent. So they gagged her not to let her shout, and they tied her to the bed, to the foot of the narrow bed, and they tied her in such a way that she could see the window and the road outside the window on which the highwayman would be riding on. She is in her private hell, actually, and that's how the poet uses personification here very beautifully. He says that death was there at every window, because the soldiers who had come there were actually setting an ambush for the highwayman. They set themselves at each and every window, and they were absolutely ready to kill the highwayman. And by looking at this, the girl, Bess, was totally in pain. Not only the physical pain that she has gone through, she has been gagged and bound, but she is going through a mental pain, a pain of losing her love now. So there is something that the readers need to look, and the personification by the writer is very beautifully done by setting death at every window. Like if somebody is sitting, death is personified. And hell at one specific window, as if hell is sitting, that is again personified. Why that window hell is sitting on? Because that window shows Bess the same road, the same highway through which the highwayman would be approaching her. That's why she is in deep pain, deep agony. She is in her private hell, you can say. Not only the soldiers bound her, not only they gagged her, but they made a lot of fun as well. Sniggering jest, small jokes. They were not funny jokes. They were abusive jokes. Here it is shown that those kingsmen were really cruel. They were really cruel. They did not have any heart because they were following law. And when they bound her to the narrow bed, they also tied her hands behind her so that she cannot move around. She cannot move her hands out. And there was a big gun, a musket. Musket is a big gun. They bound the musket in such a way, in a position that the muzzle is the place from where the bullet shoots out. So the muzzle was just pointing at her chest, as if it was a threatening to her that the moment you move, you will be shot. So she was in really a very bad situation. And after putting her in that situation, they kissed her. That's the abuse I was talking about. And then they told her to keep a good watch. They wanted her to identify the highwayman, and the moment he comes, they wanted her to identify it to them. They wanted her to tell them that he is the one who is to be shot. Think about the pain and agony she would be in. And so she recalls her lover saying the same thing that he said while he was leaving her, that he will come back with a big loot. He will come back in the morning, he will come back in the evening, he will come back, anything happens, he will come back. And here, it might be a situation that she is thinking that God, please don't send him. The scene feels like it is straight out of an action movie where the heroine is tied up. Is tied up so strong that it's impossible to get free, but eventually she gets free. Here also, she is tied quite well. There are soldiers all around, but she somehow manages to get her hands loose. Her hands are tied at her back, so she could not see that while she was trying to get her hand loose, she has sweat on her hand because of the working, because of the labor that she was up to it, or it was blood because of the strong knot which was tied. The reason might be the stretching and straining that she was up to it. Well, the time flies, but here it stopped. That's the relativity of time. She was trying to get free, and eventually she is able to reach the trigger of the gun, which was pointed just at her chest. Well, it seems quite long time it took. By the midnight, she was able to get that trigger. After getting the trigger, she stops. She doesn't move at all. She does not want the soldiers to identify that she has reached the trigger. Now she has got a plan in her head. Even we are curious. We can make our own judgments that she is up to with this, she is up to with that. But she had her own plans in her mind. But right now, she cannot do anything but wait. So she waited. Well, the moonlight has played a huge part in the entire poem, in the entire story. The moment moonlight is mentioned, we identify that there is some action going to happen. And here, in this moonlight, she hears her heart throbbing very fast because the highwayman could approach any point then. Here the word refrain is used very beautifully. Refrain is actually another figure of speech in terms. Here, refrain means just the repetition. It may be the repetition of the same horse hooves coming again. It may be the repetition of maybe the heart throbbing again and again. A repetition of heartbeat. So multiple meanings can be identified here, but it's a surprise. Stay tuned. The poet starts this paragraph with onomatopoeia. That's a figure of speech which resembles sounds. The words resemble the sound. So clot clot, clot clot. They are the horse hooves banging on the road. She hears it and she identifies. Well, that's a bad news actually, but he has come. She hears the horse hooves coming, but she is very much surprised to see that the soldiers did not hear it. Or maybe they heard it. She's confused. She asks, have they not heard it? She again hears the clot clot, clot clot. That's again the sound of the horse hooves coming nearer slowly, and then he is visible at the brow of the hill. A little shade is visible and he is there. The tension is high and the highwayman came riding. Well, that's again a repetition used to emphasize that he is not aware of the ambush which is set there, and he is totally in his own excitement of meeting his love, Bess, who is waiting at the casement, getting ready for him to come. And then he comes, and finally the soldiers hear the sound, and they got ready. They got ready for the kill that they were up to it, that they have been waiting for so long, that they were ready to shoot that highwayman. They got ready and they got their muskets ready as well. And now is the time. The time for the girl to do something. She also stood up in attention. But then here the readers couldn't identify what she is up with. What plan has she got in her head? They cannot identify. That's the curiosity built up by the speaker. And that's really a good one to learn. The horse hoof sounds are ringing clear now. They're ringing clear because it's absolutely silent all around. And it's echoing. The horse hoofs are echoing because of the silence prevailing everywhere. This gives a spooky look to this part of the Highwayman. And now, when the horse hoofs are clearer, Bess's face shines bright. She is ready. She is ready with the step that she is going to take. She takes a deep breath. She opens her eyes wide. But that's actually done when she is going to do something very drastic. And that's what she does. She shoots herself. And there was a huge noise of the gunshot. And that was actually a warning to the Highwayman. She sacrificed herself to warn the Highwayman about the ambush which was set there in the inn. The banging of the gunshot warned the Highwayman. And really, the plan of Bess worked. And the moment he heard the gunshot, he turned around and he spurred back to the same place from where he came. He did not know what had happened in the inn. He just heard the gunshot, and in a fury, he ran back as he knew that the king's men are really running behind him. Till morning, he kept on running, and he did not know about what had happened back in the inn. But in the morning, he heard the news of how Bess, how his love, his beautiful Bess, red-lipped Bess, black-eyed Bess, had sacrificed her own life to warn that there was an ambush for the Highwayman. And that was really a great sacrifice. And Bess stood with her head down over the musket, drenched in her own blood. That should bring tears to your eyes, no doubt. It has really used a wonderful figure of speech here called imagery. And you can really feel an image in your eyes, in your head, of a girl drenched in her own blood in order to warn her lover of the death that was about to come for him, that she has taken it instead of him. The girl who looked for her lover in the moonlight died in the moonlight just in order to save her love. Tears should definitely come. The moment he knew about this, he was mad. He was mad in anger. He was mad in sadness. He was really very angry on those people, and he was really very sad of what the girl has done. So he turned around and he took his horse. He brandished his rapier high. He shouted slogans in his fury, in his sadness, and he spurred back to the same inn. His love couldn't stop him from going to that place which he knew could be very dangerous for him, which he knew could be a life-threatening and life-ending for him. But he still went. And, the Highwayman was killed. The people, the soldiers who were ready with their gun pointed at each and every window, the moment got a glimpse of this Highwayman coming towards the inn, shot him. Bang. And that was the end of the Highwayman. He lay down on that moonlit road, again drenched in his own blood, on the highway as a dog. Now in the poem One Somewhere, Tim was also compared to a dog. Do you think there is any connectivity? Might be he was the one who caused his death. So there is a sort of connection what the poet has tried to show. It's a simile. It was a simile there. It is a simile. Here we find Highwayman. End. Two paragraphs are refrains. They are repetition. Well, repetition plays a huge part in this poem. Everywhere, every now and then you find a lot of repetitions. So it's a paragraph 1 and paragraph 3 repeated. But the difference is, these paragraphs are presented in present tense to show that these lovers still meet there is a ghostly touch given to the poem. A spooky atmosphere is built when these two ghosts come and meet in the same kind of environment, when the moon is ghostly galleon in the sky, and when the road is a ribbon, and it's a moonlit night, moon playing hide and seek in the cloud, it's all absolutely dark, and the wind playing its part by making the tree make variety of sound. It's really very spooky. And when this thing happens, these two people, these two ghosts still come and meet every day. It's happening continuously. That's really a good ending. We find the girl plaiting or braiding her hair with a red love knot. She is still waiting every day. She is still alive, as if the poet wants to show. And this gives the poem a very spooky touch. That she waits for the highwayman, and the highwayman approaches. He makes a variety of sounds, and still the story goes on and on and on.
Thank you everyone. I'll be back soon with my next video.